You can use the dashboard to quickly view summary information about the current state of the firewall or to view recent events that have occurred on the firewall. This demonstration shows you how to manage the widgets on your dashboard. The dashboard consists of a set of customizable widgets. For example, here we see the General Information widget, the System Resources widget, the ACC Risk Factor widget, and so on. PanOS software includes more than a dozen built-in widgets, and you decide which ones to display on your dashboard. As you can see, a widget like the General Information widget is a tool that displays information in a pane on the dashboard. Notice the information displayed on the General Information widget. We see the firewall's host name, its management port IP address and netmask, the default gateway, that it's a virtual machine firewall, it has a VM100 license, it's running PanOS version 9.01, and so forth. Other widgets display other types of information. For example, the System Resources widget up here displays management CPU and data plane CPU usage. For example, if your firewall was really slow and behaving or performing really slow, then you might check the CPU numbers here. And if the data plane CPU was up in the 80-90% range, then perhaps your firewall is just being overloaded at the moment, and that's why the performance is slow. So once again, these widgets are just panes of information that show you various information about your firewall's current state or what's happening on the firewall in terms of sessions and whatnot going through the firewall. Managing the widgets on the firewall is easy. You can configure the number and type of widgets to display and where to display the widgets in the browser window. To add a new widget, use the Widgets drop-down menu shown here. We'll add the Top Applications widget to the dashboard as an example by clicking Widgets, Application, Top Applications. Now notice that ACC Risk Factor is unavailable. It's unavailable because it's already shown on the dashboard. But the Top Applications widget is not already on the dashboard, so we can add it. So let's click Top Applications. Notice the Top Applications widget now displays over here on the dashboard. The Top Applications widget displays the top 10 applications seen by the firewall in the last hour, based on the applications with the most sessions. The block size associated with each application, so here's a block associated with the Google Base application. Here's a block associated with DNS. Here's a block associated with Palo Alto Wildfire Cloud and so forth. Anyway, the block size associated with each application indicates the relative number of sessions, whereas the color of the block indicates the security risk associated with the application. The risk factor for applications is calculated by Palo Alto Networks on a scale from 1 to 5, where 1 is the lowest risk factor. Green indicates a risk factor of 1. So Palo Alto Wildfire Cloud here is at a risk factor of 1. Blue would be number 2. Yellow is number 3. Orange would be number 4. So web browsing, DNS, and Google Base all here are orange, so they indicate a risk factor of 4, and red would be a risk factor of 5, or the most dangerous type of applications. If you click an application name on a widget, so for example, here we have the Top Applications widget, and we have DNS. If we click on it, notice what will happen is it will take us to the ACC tab, and it will apply whatever we clicked on, in this case the application DNS, as a global filter. And it will show you from the last hour a bunch of widgets on the ACC tab that have to do with DNS. Now, on our particular firewall, we can see there's a lot of no data to display here because honestly, my firewall hasn't done much with DNS in the last hour. But I could, if I wanted to, go ahead and increase the time frame to, let's say, 7 days. And so now it's using a global filter of DNS over the last 7 days rather than the last hour. And notice I begin to see information begin to populate in the various widgets on the ACC tab. Anyway, let me go ahead and clear these global filters by clicking Clear All, and then we'll go back to our dashboard, which is where we started. Now, I can add or delete widgets from this dashboard display. So for example, I could go here and add widgets logs and add a data filtering logs widget. So here's my new data logs or data filtering logs widget. Now, if I want to, though, I can remove widgets from the display also by simply clicking the X right here, and notice that the data logs widget will be removed from my dashboard display. You can also rearrange the widgets to suit your needs and your particular work style. You use your mouse pointer and drag and drop to move the widgets around on the dashboard. Let's move the ACC risk factor widget to the top over here, and see, this is how it is. You just simply drag and drop and it moves it over. And you can drag widgets down. You can do all sorts of different things to get the display set up exactly how it suits you and your particular workflow. Dashboard configuration settings are maintained per user, so your dashboard configuration stays with your login name. And if you log out and log back in, the dashboard also retains your last configuration, so when you log back in, it'll look just like it did when you logged out. There are also a few general dashboard settings that affect all of the widgets. First, you can display your widgets on the dashboard in either 2 or 3 columns. Notice over here, you can toggle between a 2-column display, or you can toggle between a 3-column display. The choice is yours, whichever works for you. Second, you can also configure the firewall to update the widget data anywhere in a time range from manually to every 1, 2, or 5 minutes. If you select manual, then the only way to update these dashboard widgets is to click the refresh icon over here, and that will update your widgets for you. Otherwise, you could say, well, just automatically update my dashboard widgets every 1 minute, 2 minutes, or 5 minutes. This concludes this demonstration on how to manage dashboard widgets.